something on fire there? That's a lot of smoke. Coming from me. There's a lot of smoke. Damn. I've never seen that much smoke coming from there. 58 degrees though. So, I don't know. Oh yeah, it's coming out of the chimney. There's a lot of smoke I've never seen. It's right by the salt shed, I think. Very close. Here's the salt shed. This used to be the immigration building right here. Yeah, that was the building there. Now but they're still living on Foster Avenue with that fucking Marine base. That one American citizen there. That one. There's another shelter right down here I haven't been to yet.
In 1.5 miles, take the interchange on the right.
That tunnel coming up. Yeah, supposedly a large parts of Spain lost power. That'd be shitty. Or it goes down to like the whole fucking country state. That's Spain and I think like the country next to it. And they got hit by. Oh, what's this? This looks new. Oh, 5 hours I can go.
You or a loved one admitted to an illness.
Might be the coolest I've seen this year.
This year? In friggin' history, dude.
You can tell your mom to do that next time she cuts your hair.
Hey, shut it, you fart knocker.
How come all these liberals are freaking out because a crooked judge got arrested?
I don't know, but she looks like that creepy old lady from Toronto from the train.
I guess she found out the hard way that no one is above the law.
Take the interchange on the right.
Now, usually a top G like myself would never associate with some brokies like you guys, but I saw you in some kick-ass videos on Common Sense News, and I decided to stop by and help you level up in life. I see some potential in you.
Wow, Andrew, thanks. We had a crap contract back in the day, so we're broke again, and no more chicks.
Yeah. Can you help us score with some chicks, man?
Beavis, it's not about scoring with them, it's about owning them, mentally and physically.
Wow, dude. I've never owned a chick before.
Maybe, but you did rent a hooker in Vegas in '95 when we had some cash.
Whatever, Blood Munch. Don't forget, you were the king of the happy ending massages back then, bucko.
Don't remind me.
That
I
top
can go
brand's
for one
pretty
right
cool.
now.
Fellas, you don't pay for women. The only time you pay them is for them to leave. Do you understand?
I guess, but that's easy.
You're jacked and you're Rick, bro.
Well, I wasn't born this way. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you did a push-up?
I don't really work out much, Andrew.
The only thing you've been pushing up is your pecker when you choke that chicken, you little pervert.
So that's why those socks on your room floor are like concrete.
Shut your trap, turd nugget.
And what the hell are you laughing at, butthole?
It's butt. Head.
Butthole, butthead, whatever. When was the last time you scored a woman?
It's been a while. I couldn't even tell you.
I smashed 2 baddies before breakfast. 6 days a week. And on the 7th, it's 3.
Wow, I wish I could do that.
You guys could if you got off your pasty soft asses and go out there and slay some dragons. Conquer something. Anything. But sitting in your skid mark underpants and eating Hot Pockets all day.
We're ready, bro. Our day of being NPCs are over.
There's more to life than sniffing each other's farts on this flea-ridden old couch looking like these 2 fake Milli Vanilli wankers.
Those guys are losers. We want to be millionaires with all the chicks. Yeah.
Well, when you become a boss, let me show you exactly the kind of women you should avoid, like the bloody Black Plague.
My husband didn't cook me dinner tonight, so tomorrow morning, first thing, I'm filing a divorce because it is his job to feed me. What the fuck I look like?
First off, any man that would marry a tub of lard like this deserves all the misery she comes with.
Yuck. Who would sign up for that?
I don't know, Beavis, but once you see that stupid nose ring, you know she's trouble.
You see? You guys are learning already. Now check out this entitled little princess.
Let me just go ahead and get this out there right now. If a man ever looks at me and says, hey babe, what's for dinner? And means it, assumes I'm in charge of dinner, what's for dinner? Divorce. That's what's for dinner.
Fellas, it should be a woman's pleasure to cook dinner for her man, but as you can see, she has no man, no husband, and probably a flat full of piss-smelling cats.
She's not even hot. What's she talking about?
Yeah, my schlong didn't even budge when you saw it.
Modern society and social media has made the most basic woman feel like she deserves to live like the queen, just like this scallywag here.
Scallywag.
There goes that nose ring again.
And then it's simple things like, sir, you want to talk to me, but you can't pay my phone bill. You don't want to help me pay my phone bill. And then that's why I'm just that whole oh well, I have to sleep with you first before I start spending money. Alright.
This sloth thinks that because she has a stank box between her legs, she is entitled to everything in the world.
Bro, she looks like Whoopi Goldberg's 400-pound sister.
What asswipe is calling her, much less paying her phone bill?
Exactly. Any man that would give this beast a dime is no better than this human doormat here. See? I knew you guys had some top G in you.
Yeah, we're going from simp to pimp.
Brilliant. Let's hit the gym right now and make some real men out of you. You two can both fit in the back of my Bugatti.
All right, you guys, we're off with Andrew to become the dudes we never knew we could be.
Yeah, but we'll be back soon. Yeah.
I wish they would make an episode where they go
We're
out
out of
with
here for now, but this is Common Sense News. Make sure you subscribe and share.
That's what they got next.
I am fully committed to destroying this woke government, and I am truly concerned for the next election in 3.5 years from now. Because I don't think our enemies have just given up and gone away. I think they're preparing for a counterattack the size of which we're not even expecting. And if they win, it is over for all of us.
I think we're doing pretty bad off
You're
with the
checking
bill
out
I
Common
want.
Sense News right now. They say the things you want to, but we're afraid to say.
It's a nice red Charger.
Through HIMSS, hundreds of thousands of guys have found help for their ED. Here Carolyn Levitt. I'm the press secretary to Donald Trump, and you will listen to me! Listen to me! I'm the one, listen to me!
I can't even call it with this one, fellas.
We definitely have a severe mental health crisis in this country right now, guys.
I totally agree, Mr. President.
Can I rant on here? How are you in a church celebrating in America right now?
I really think I might have to sign that executive order to reopen the insane asylums.
You need to do that like yesterday, bro.
Seriously, look at those eyes. They never lie.
Can someone tell me what MAGA men find attractive so that I can wear the complete opposite? Thanks.
I hate to be the one to tell you, sweetheart, but MAGA men already think you're a boner killer.
Come on, any man with eyes would agree.
Nah, Ray Charles can touch that face and tell she's a hog.
What the hell is this, man?
I'm just here to conduct oversight to see it for myself in real time exactly what the hell is going on here.
That's that cue ball head squad member, Ayanna something. What a buffoon.
Damn, I thought that was Kojak and Drag.
Honestly, these Democrats are such a disgrace. We've had floods in North Carolina and fires in Hawaii and California, and they couldn't be bothered. But let us ship out some illegals, and they lose their damn minds.
And that stunt they pulled going to El Salvador was completely preposterous.
You know, I think these two pillow biters took it as a chance for a honeymoon on taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, and this dried up prune said she wasn't leaving El Salvador until they released the wife-beating gangbanger.
I am here because I refuse to wait for something to happen.
Is that a dude?
No, but she can pass for one of those liberal beta males with no balls.
I was hoping she would stay and end up looking like this in a few years, but she folded like a cheap lawn chair and is already back, belly aching, here in the good old US of A.
What a joke. Her and the rest of them Democrats are definitely traitors.
Speaking of traitors, what's up with that Amy Coney Barrett chick?
Tell ya, she's really been a tremendous disappointment.
Yeah, she's more like Amy Phony Barrett, if you ask me.
She's full of it. Just like that Justice Clown Jackson. She doesn't even know what a woman is and thinks it's okay to indoctrinate children with preschool porn.
Another DEI appointment by old Sleepy Joe. How pathetic.
Man, I pity the fool that don't know what a woman is.
We don't articulate as Black women our pain because it's almost like nobody ever gave us permission to do that.
Let's leave race out of this, because every time I see your ugly ass, you complaining and whining about something.
Ain't that the truth? And boy, is she looking rough.
She out here looking like the Predator's grandma.
Man, I feel sorry for old Barack. She's going to put him through the freaking ringer when she finally divorces him.
Yeah, and I feel sorry for that sucker, because he had to see Big Mike without that wig and makeup for all these years.
All right, guys, it's back to work making America great again. We have these weirdo activist judges overstepping their bounds and trying to get in our way, so we have to work twice as hard.
They're
but
doing
nothing,
the very thing that they're
and I mean,
trying to vote
nothing is going to stop us.
Facts. We can't be beat, and we won't be beat.
That's right, brother. The resistance is stronger than ever.
So keep the faith out there and stay strong. Once again, this is your new favorite channel, Common Sense News, signing out.
This is Common Sense News. We say the things you want to, but we're afraid to. Make sure to subscribe, and may the Force be with you.
What happened? I don't think I see. I see that one.
I can't imagine that either Elon Musk or Donald Trump has ever had sex that was consensual on the part of the woman.
I swear, this washed-up battle axe can't get any attention unless she puts our name in her Botox-filled mouth.
Seriously, what a miserable hag. I've had 14 kids, and her barren womb hasn't produced any.
Check out this monstrosity without any makeup or filters. Ew.
Hey, Mr. President, I just stopped by because my sources have told me that the globalists are not happy with you and Elon jamming up their plans for the New World Order, and they have something really nasty up their sleeves.
It's okay, Alex. We're ready for anything, and if things get too hairy, I'll call my main man, Mr. T, to crack some skulls.
Gotcha, Chief. And don't forget, I'm in my best shape in 20 years, and I am always ready, willing, and able to kick some communist butt.
So I came to El Salvador in order to go into the jail and see the MS-13 gangbanger.
El white boy está mucho loco.
What an absolute traitor to the American people.
This fool takes taxpayer money to make this useless trip but won't address migrants killing women in his own state.
I tell you, these phony Democrats are digging their own grave. Let's see what the people have to say.
These dumb mother Democrats out here fighting their damnedest to get this terrorist back in our country. They're saying they want him home. He is home, in El Salvador, where he belongs.
You know, we're doing what the majority of Americans want, and the president of El Salvador and I have a great relationship, so that gang-banging piece of trash isn't going anywhere.
I know we don't deport citizens, but maybe you can make an exception for this moron.
I feel so powerless. I'm sitting in my car in the parking lot at my job, and I just have to go to work. And I am gonna just serve people food and be like, yes, how would you like your steak cooked? Oh, would you like to die in El Salvador? Because they're gonna deport us all. What are we doing?
I hear you, Alex. What a freaking loon.
What in tarnations is that?
Another one of these liberal nut jobs. I'm sure she voted for Kamala.
How does she drink anything with all those holes in her damn face?
I don't know, but she must be like this guy.
So I guess this might just be the Democrat ticket in 2028, huh?
Yeah, you have old Horseface over here and Bernie, who's starting to look like that crazy scientist Doc Brown from Back to the Future. He should take that DeLorean back to Woodstock and keep his commie ass right there.
The Trump administration accused New York Attorney General Letitia James of mortgage fraud.
Isn't it ironic that this corrupt cow is getting investigated for the same stuff she tried to pin on me? Wow.
That's poetic justice, if I've ever seen it, boss.
What a fraud. She lied and said her main residence was in Virginia, all while being the Attorney General of New York, and not to mention saying she was married to her own father, of all people.
Yeah, her and that other Slav, Alvin Bragg, won't be having those all-you-can-eat lunches together, and soon she'll be eating trays of jailhouse slop.
Man, I'd love to be there with the InfoWars crew the day they make her do the perp walk in handcuffs.
She reminds me of this broad.
We are living in the Trump era.
So Shamu here is blaming me for her being as big as a house?
Something tells me she was a whale since the Reagan era.
This blob on a treadmill is more rare than a Bigfoot sighting.
Hey, Big Back Mama, it's not my fault you can't put down the Whoppers and have a salad. You know, she's talking like I strapped her to a table and poured gravy down her throat. All right, everybody, making America great again is a full-time job, and we have to get back to work. But thanks for joining us, Alex.
It was a pleasure, Mr. President. We definitely must do this again.
So for me and all the gang, this is your new...
Is there a power outage in Spain? Supposed to have a real big power outage in Spain.
Of a power cut that affected most of Spain and Portugal, electricity is gradually being restored. And the Spanish Prime Minister has told the Spanish people not to panic, not to speculate about the causes, but also not to use their mobile phones unless it's strictly necessary. What has happened in Spain and Portugal, and what are the lessons in the UK if we face a blackout of a similar scale? We'll discuss all of that on this episode of the BBC's Daily News Podcast, Newscast. Hello, it's Adam in the Newscast studio, and later we'll be crossing over to Moscow to catch up with Steve Rosenberg to get his take on the Russian side of negotiations over peace in Ukraine, or at the moment, a lack of negotiations. But first of all, as we're recording this episode of Newscast at about 6:45 on Monday evening, power is gradually being restored to parts of Spain and Portugal after an immense power cut that affected most of both those countries starting on Monday lunchtime. And it meant you saw traffic lights stopping working. It meant you saw people being evacuated from trains and no one able to pay for anything by phone or by card because the payments infrastructure went down. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of how people were affected by this enormous power cut. And we had a statement from the Spanish Prime Minister saying that he didn't want to speculate about what the cause of it was, but he did advise people not to travel, only to use their mobile phones if it was strictly necessary, and to not overwhelm the emergency services, which were already pretty whelmed by this huge power cut. Right, it's quite hard to get hold of people in Spain or Portugal, for example, the BBC correspondents there, but we have managed to reach two people in the UK who are real experts on just the business and, well, like the physics of how electricity works on the continent. We're joined now by Rachel Morrison, who is energy editor for the Bloomberg News Service in Europe. Hello, Rachel.
Hello.
Busy day to be an energy editor in Europe?
Yeah, I don't know where today's gone. It's been very busy.
And you've probably still got many hours of work still to do. Also joining us is Professor Keith Bell, who is Professor of Future Power Systems at the University of Strathclyde in Glasgow. Hello, Professor Bell.
Hello.
So, Rachel, do you want to just give us a bit of a plotted timeline of what your day's been like? When did you first sort of sense that something was going on in the Iberian Peninsula?
Yeah, so we, I think, got an idea about it pretty quickly after it happened, which was shortly after 12:30, when, first of all, we monitor all of the feeds from X and all of those kind of things of the grid operators. So the grid operator had said there had been this problem. Obviously, we have lots of people in our Madrid bureau who also were reporting the same. And then it was all hands on deck, and we started trying to piece together bits and what we could from what's been happening. So I would say that quite a lot.
The sweetest moments deserve the boldest flavor.
Slight right.
Finally back on across most of Spain and Portugal. A massive blackout left the countries without power for more than 12 hours. And CBS News correspondent Jared Hill reports it wasn't a cyber attack, but the question still remains as to just what caused the sweeping outage.
In the city of Madrid, drenched in darkness overnight, an eruption of excitement as the lights finally came back on. The power restored to almost the entire country following an hours-long blackout that swept across Spain, Portugal, and parts of France. Traffic in the Portuguese capital of Lisbon at a standstill. In Madrid, stranded Spanish commuters navigated through dark metro tunnels and along railroad tracks.
We were going to Barcelona, and all of a sudden it's just, general blackout, no news, they didn't know when it was going to start again.
The blackout even knocked out power midway through tennis star Coco Gauff's post-match interview at the Madrid Open.
So maybe I just need to not get a lot of sleep.
The outage hit just before 12:30 in the afternoon local time. Monday, the Portuguese National Cybersecurity Center said there was no sign of a cyber attack, but Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said they are analyzing all the potential causes without discarding any hypothesis. Hours in, people across the region remarked on signs life was getting back to normal. Lights on in a house and in storefronts as the busy morning commute picked back up in other places.
but the world's still in the dark about why the lights went out to begin with. Jared Hill, CBS News.
This.
中美经贸关系本质是互利共赢，经贸摩擦应该通过平等对话磋商来妥善解决。
According to the latest data, US LNG cargoes to China have dropped to almost zero. In the past few years, China has relied on US LNG to get through the cold winter months and meet fast-growing industrial demand. But now, tariffs and official barriers imposed on the US have reportedly disrupted that trade. According to the New York Times, some American LNG producers have either diverted cargoes they had planned to send to China or cancelled contracts. This is hurting companies aiming to grow America's LNG export capacity. China, in turn, is looking to buy LNG from Russia or Qatar, and is even trying to mend relations with Australia to secure additional supplies from there. The giants of the energy sector are watching the issue closely. Because the importer-exporter balance in the US on the one hand, the market share of Canadian oil on the other, Russia's increasing sales to China, OPEC Plus moves by Middle Eastern countries. All these are factors that fluctuate oil and natural gas prices. If prices rise, China will not benefit, but neither will the US. If they fall, Russia suffers, but US shale companies could also go bankrupt. It's a lose-lose situation where everyone is trying to win and everyone risks losing at the same time. Trade wars are constantly opening a new front, making the world economy even more uncertain. Since energy imports and exports are perhaps one of the most critical trump cards in this game, every move sends ripples through the markets. Many experts say that with this decision, China is teaching the US a lesson on energy trade. The Trump administration had hoped to bring Beijing to its knees through trade pressure, but China is sending a message that we can undermine one of your strongest trump cards as much as we can. While the US is on its way to becoming an energy export giant in the new era, losing a giant buyer like China is a major handicap. According to the US Energy Information Administration, EIA, in 2022, US crude oil exports have reached 3 million barrels per day. A significant slice of this was going to China. Now, a 90% cut would mean a loss of several 100,000 barrels per day. This may not seem huge for the crude oil market, but it directly affects the profit margins and market networks of US exporters. On the other hand, China, which has close ties with Russia, is also getting Russian oil at heavily discounted prices following the Ukraine crisis and Western sanctions. As Moscow looks for markets to sell its oil, China has become the main actor filling the gap. It is known that Chinese refineries are buying Russian Urals and ESPO oil at deep discounts of 10 tiles 50 nos per barrel. When Canadian imports are added to this, there is little room for US oil. In other words, China is building a multi-alternative supply chain by expanding its agreements with both Russia and Canada. This strategy means minimizing dependence on the US and strengthening its hand in the face of a trade war. At this point, US oil companies are trying to partially replace the Chinese market, where they have lost their exports with Europe or Latin America, but there is strong competition in those markets as well. Players such as Middle Eastern producers, Russia, African countries, and Canada have already established themselves in many regions. Therefore, American producers are looking for new deals, struggling with lower prices or high transportation costs. Oil owners, especially in Texas and Louisiana, say that the loss of the Chinese market is huge, and it's because of the Trump administration's trade actions. But Trump refuses to make concessions, saying things like they are exploiting America. While this may seem like a short-term political leverage, it is questionable how much damage it will do to the energy sector in the long run. Likewise, oil trade with Canada poses certain logistical challenges for China, because the port capacity and pipelines on the west coast of Canada are not yet huge. Moreover, as it is heavy oil, it needs to adapt to refineries. But Beijing is already negotiating medium-term supply guarantees with Canadian companies to accelerate infrastructure projects to facilitate exports to Asia. It is already known that Canada is working on new terminals, tank farms, and pipeline expansions on the Pacific coast. While Western Canada has traditional challenges in oil production, sandy reserves, costly extraction techniques, etc., it could make a big leap forward if it can offer long-term contracts to a giant buyer like China. China's deepening energy cooperation with Canada also shows that some diplomatic frictions between the two countries are beginning to be overcome. Previously, relations were frosty because of Canada's restrictions on technology companies like Huawei and China's opposition to them. However, rising tensions with the United States in the international arena may have prompted Beijing to adopt a pragmatic approach in its relations with Canada. Already in many countries in Europe, China is similarly sending messages that you can cooperate more with us in response to the US. Some analyses interpret this as China is searching on every front to find a friend against the US. On the LNG front, it should be remembered that the US has doubled its LNG exports in 5 years with the shale gas revolution, focusing especially on meeting demand in Asia. China is one of the largest LNG importers in global oil and gas flow. In the long run, we could see an energy corridor turn from the US to Canada. This could strengthen Canada diplomatically and economically. It is not clear where this tension will lead. According to one scenario, the US and China will sit down at the table after a while. The trade war schedule will soften and energy flows will return to normal. In the other scenario, the tensions would become permanent. Beijing would continue its almost complete shift away from US oil and LNG trade, and American exporters would turn to other markets. In that case, China would make huge deals with Canada, buy discounted oil from Russia, and strengthen its relations with other OPEC Plus countries. The US would lose much.
Use lower gears to maintain control and reduce strain. Non-paved roads demand more from your vehicle. Engage four-wheel drive for better traction. Snow and ice reduce traction, increasing the risk of